welcome to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. My name is Katie Clark, co-founder of Spotted Dog Yoga in Folsom, California. And this podcast is intended to share stories, insights, people, and just personal thoughts on how you can live a more inspired and purposeful life. So thank you for joining today. The topic today came up for me in a conversation that I was having with a friend, and it has to do with, removing facades from your life, taking the masks off and being true to who you are. And this also ties in with the need to please other people, a people pleasing mentality. And also like societal expectations maybe have a role in this. So we'll just dive right in. So the first part of this is, really just the importance of knowing the awareness of if you are wearing a facade, wearing a mask when you're interacting with other people and how you present yourself to the world. And, I think often this happens because of fear. It might not be the case for everyone, but I think fear is really an underlying factor with this. And it's fear of being rejected, fear of not being good enough. There's probably a list of fears that could relate to that. But I think it's pretty common for people to have a facade. And especially with social media nowadays, people have the Instagram picture, the picture perfect pictures that they put up, and they don't always or often share the real photos, like the reality. Some people do. I've seen those really neat things that people do where they're like the Instagram photo and the real life photo, and it's the same attempt at a photo side by side where it's like a hot mess 1 minute, and then you capture a really nice moment the next. And there's nothing wrong with having wonderful family photos and sharing those. But I think when you are only presenting certain things to people, whether it's in the way that you communicate, in the images that you share, the way that you act, I think that it's really, it's damaging to you as a person. It's dangerous, I think, a little bit, because you kind of can lose yourself and ultimately not know who you even really are anymore if you're constantly putting on a facade. And sometimes people wear different masks for different people. They have like their work facade, they have like their facade with this friend group and a facade with this other friend group, and then it just goes on and on and on. And if you're changing all the time and you're not ever just letting yourself be you, not only could you lose yourself, but also that has to be exhausting. It has to be. Not being yourself has to just, I would think, be just wear you out. So there's that. When you are interested in personal growth and you are working on yourself, and we do a lot of programs at Spotted Dog where we do a combination of yoga and meditation and inquiry, and people discover where in their life they aren't being real and where in their life they are. When you're in that work, you have awareness. And so the first step to being able to remove the facades that you have is awareness. So those three things, yoga, meditation, and inquiry, are really great tools to uncover that. Because when you get present in your body through yoga and meditation, and then you look at through inquiry, where in my life am I comfortable in being myself? Where in my life am I not? Then because you're in your body and connected to your body, those answers are more easy to come by through that awareness. So it's really important to look at that. Because who doesn't really want to be themselves and be loved for themselves? And often I think you would be. You would be accepted and loved as yourself. I think often it's a self made story that if you act this way with this facade, then you'll be accepted and loved. Um, but the reality is that other people would still love you and accept you, even if you didn't have that facade. And if they don't, then they're not the right person to have in your life, because you don't want to be in relationships with people who would have you not be you. That's not right. That doesn't make you feel good. So take down the facades, embrace your true self. I think it's important to explore the process of self discovery, and yoga, meditation, and inquiry aren't the only ways to do that. There are a lot of ways to do that, but I think those are really great tools from my personal experience. When you find your true self, and you're okay with who you are, then you can see why you've been putting those facades up. And as I mentioned, generally it's a fear of something, not being accepted, not being good enough, those types of things. So take a look at that in your life. And if you happen to be a people pleaser, which this is how the conversation kind of started with my friend and how I started thinking about all of this, but it's really a negative. People pleasing is negative for self-esteem and your mental health, because you're constantly doing things for other people. I guess probably for a desire for validation, or maybe because what we already talked about, the fears of not being accepted. So you aim to please so that you don't have someone say something that you don't want to hear, that's negative, right? So I think that when you realize that you're doing things or saying things to please others, and it's it doesn't ring true, because it can't, because you're doing it for other people, not for yourself. When you get to that, I think that it's really important to, again, go down the path of self-discovery a little bit, because what you want to get to is the why. And that comes from awareness. The why of why, the why. How many times can I say why? The why of the people pleasing. Why do you do that? What do you get from that? And what is it that has you keep doing it? It's like there's something that you get from doing that you don't want to give it up. And when you can get to that through new awareness, then you can let that go, and you can be okay with, if I say this thing, what I'm really thinking, not what this person wants to hear. You can be okay with whatever the reaction is on the other side of the conversation. What you want to get is that you only have the ability to change and shift yourself. You cannot change or shift other people. And when you become okay with people having their own reaction, no matter what, like if that's what happens over there, that's okay, because you're true to you and you're good with that, then ultimately you will attract the right people that are good for you, that feed your soul in your life, and you will repel the people that aren't good for you. And that's what you want anyway. I've had friendships in the past that I can think back on that were friendships that I maintained because I had been friends with them for so long, or we'd shared certain experiences, and I just felt like that I should be their friend always. But I've come to learn that that's ridiculous, because there are people that I was friends with, quote unquote, that weren't really my friend, that weren't really like looking out for me, and I was putting energy into them that was wasted. And once I learned that, I was totally fine with not having those friendships anymore. And I've made much better friends since that are supportive of me and are there for me and have my back no matter what. And those are the types of people that I want to be surrounded with. So that's a really important thing. And it's hard, it's hard to let things go, let people go, but you will exhaust yourself and wear yourself down if you are people pleasing all the time. So take a look at that as well, if that rings true for you. Um, and in addition to just people, I think there are sometimes like societal expectations that have us act or be a certain way in certain situations. And, it's just time to let that go. It's it's time to break free from that. It's time to find freedom to be you and unapologetically so. There are people that will love you for that. And if people or, circumstances don't accept you as who you are, then you should find some other people or other things to be doing. So, yeah, this just kind of all came up for me from this conversation that I had with my friend. And I think it's really important. I can look back on my life and identify many, many instances and times where I was wearing a mask, having a facade, having different personas for different environments or people. And I definitely think at some point in time in my life, I was a people pleaser and afraid to say what I really thought. And I've just gotten to the point where I want to be myself. And if people want to be around that, then I want to be around them and I will accept them as they are as well. So if that is something that you want, I encourage you to go out and get you some of that. And we do have a 40 Days to Personal Revolution program starting October 1st. And the yoga, meditation, and inquiry in that program is a really great way to look at some of this stuff. And maybe some of this stuff doesn't ring true to you, but there is always something that I'm working on, and there's always something that you can be working on. And so I encourage you to check that out, do the work, get your best foot forward for this next coming year, get reset for the fall, for the holidays, get yourself present in your body so that you can enjoy your family, so that you can show up as the person that you are born to be. Thank you for listening to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. My name is Katie Clark, and I'm co-founder of Spotted Dog Yoga and Sup in Folsom, California. You can listen to this podcast on any of your favorite podcast channels or on YouTube, where you can subscribe and get notified anytime that we put up a new podcast on there. Have a wonderful day, and get out there and get you some of that. All right?